Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from group 6 of 5D class. In this video, we would like to present a topic about authorial intention, wit, and rules of criticism. Our members are Marsha Nurul Azmi, Marwah, and Muhammad Ihsan Saifullah. We have 7 topics to discuss. First, what is poet's genius? Second, what is the relationship between poet's genius and authorial intention? Third, what is the relationship between criticism and nature? Those 3 topics will be explained by Muhammad Ihsan. Fourth, what is the right course of judgment? Fifth, what is the function of rules in art? Those topics will be explained by Marwah. Sixth, why does Pop say a little learning is a dangerous thing? And the last, what is the proud dullness and the unhappy with, which will be delivered by Marsha Nurul Azmi. So, without any further ado, let's jump to the discussion.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ihsan Saifullah, and here I'd like to answer the question about who's genius. Alexander Pope divided wit into genius and intellect. Genius is gifted from the God, and intellect is gained through learning process. The term genius is always associated with poet. The poet genius is a characteristic of a poet. A poet must born with genius, and not only simply made, aesthetic in line, but derive their light from heaven. Authorial intention means a position that argues that the creator of a text possesses a privileged understanding of its meaning, and that consequently any interpretation that contradicts this understanding must differ to the author's intention. The relationship between authorial intention and genius is, since poets are born with genius, they have infinitive imagination, so that they can create works that can raise multiple meaning or interpretation from readers, since they don't know what poets intend. And the authorial intention has a relation with poet genius to convey what is the actual meaning of the poet's work. Nature is a standard of test for criticism, and critic must follow it. Aesthetic in line, first follow nature and your judgment frame by her just standard, which is still the same. Critic must understand nature, since that is where reality lies, then from life in nature. Critics can also learn many things that can build intelligence. Criticism must also be useful and beautiful, which all from nature. Useful means contains wisdom, and beautiful, by following nature, critics will get a natural impression, and this natural impression can be aesthetic value for the form of criticism.
Hello everyone, my name is Marwah, and here I would like to answer the question number 4 in a book of Introduction to Criticism and a page of 131. And the question is, what is the right course of judgment? The right course of judgment, according to Pope, is follow the nature. Therefore, the writers and also the critics should have a wit and also the good judgment. A good judge would read every work with and the same spirit where its author wrote it, surveying the whole, not looking little mistakes. I hope my voice is clear because it is raining outside. Thank you. Hello again, everyone, and here I would like to answer the question number five, and the question is: describe the function of rules in art. As Bob said in his essay or in this book on page 113, it said, "Those rules of all discovered, not devised, are nature still, but nature methodized. Nature, like liberty, is but restrained by the same laws which first shape ordained." I'm sorry if my reading was wrong. So, and as for rules, they are but nature methodized. Nature's form is its own self-made restriction. However, if indeed the poet fulfills the primary goal of poetry, he or she is free to break the rules. Pope gets close to expressing a sublime thought in this statement. Obviously, the poet, as much as the critics, must have a strong understanding of literary tradition in order to make intelligent judgment. And we can see Pope believed that the rules of follow the nature were fairly clear. According to Pope, they must bring life, force, and also beauty. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marsha, and here I would like to answer the question, why does Pop say a little learning is a dangerous thing? That line is in the part 2, stanza 2, line 1, first line. A little learning is a dangerous thing. But let's see the other three lines, the next three lines here. Drink deep or taste not the pure and spring. Their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. For your information, the Pierian spring in Macedonia was sacred to the Muses. So, in order to taste the Pierian spring, the critic or poet needs to drink deep. Like read widely the literary works. And a little learning is a dangerous thing because it can lead the critic to think they know it well, but they in fact know very little. A little learning is more dangerous than complete ignorance because it gives you the illusion of knowledge when you, in fact, have only cursory knowledge of the subject. In the line, their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. In other words, drinking only shallowly from the spring will make you drunk with your own knowledge, but drinking deeply or largely brings you back to reality. So, you have a fairer and more accurate assessment of what you do, a more accurate assessment of a literary works that you want to critique. So, with deep learning, the more we learn, the less we know. All right, the next question is, what is the proud dullness and the unhappy wit? Bob stated about rules of critics in his an essay on criticism. A perfect judge will read each work of wit with the same spirit that its author read. Survey the whole, nor seek slight faults to find, where nature moves and rapture warms the mind, nor lose, for that malignant dull delight, then generous pleasure to the charmed with wit. From that stanza, we can conclude that the first thing in criticizing, the critics need to determine the aspect of the literary works they want to critique. What aspects? That aspect are the intrinsic or the extrinsic aspects. So they have to focus on the object of their uh, of what they want to critique. So they will be a good critics. And then in the next line, still in the first stanza, still in the same stanza, that shunning faults one quite tenor keep. We cannot blame indeed, but we may sleep. In wit, As nature, what affects our heart is not the exactness of peculiar parts. It is not a lip or eye, the beautiful, but the joint force and full result of all. So the critic's wit is like the son of nature that influenced our soul to critique a literary work passionately as the author composed it. It is the characteristic of a perfect judge. Proud dullness. Let us see in stanza 11 of part 2, line 8, that in proud dullness joins with quality. Dullness here seems to be incorrectly used. Ignorance too apt to magnify, but dullness reposes in stolid indifference. So it is related to the vanity of the critics. They seem arrogant because they are not criticizing the work but criticizing the author, which is not objective. So the proud dullness can be concluded as a critic who mocks the author instead of criticize the literary works. Next, the last, what is unhappy with? As what has been explained in the previous part, wit is cleverness, and this stanza is the wit of the authors, their genius thought in making their works. Unhappy wit is genius authors, but they only composed a work, a single work, and even when they are processing, they are stuck. That's all that we can deliver to you guys. We hope there will be insight we can get from the discussion. We're sorry for the shortcomings and the mistakes we made. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you again.